Okay, well, welcome to the December 12th, 2022 meeting of the Board of Library Trustees, or the Library Board of Trustees, or the Library Board, or whatever we choose to be called. I'll call the meeting to order and say, during this declared state of emergency, the meeting will be conducted in accordance with California Government Code, Section 54953E, as authorized by resolution of the City Council. Please contact city.clerk@mountainview.gov to obtain a copy of the applicable resolution. All members of the Board of Library Trustees will participate in the meeting by video conference with no physical meeting location. All votes will be taken by roll call vote. Now I will ask the library director to proceed with roll call.
Max Beckman-Harned.
Present.
Phyllis Bismanowski.
Here.
Paul Donahue.
Here.
Sharon Sue.
Present.
Nicole Vogt.
I'm here.
All right. We're all here, and on to minutes approval. Minutes for the October 17th, 2022 meeting have been delivered to board members. If there are no corrections or additions, a motion is in order to approve these minutes. Are there any corrections?
They looked good to me. I can make a motion, or we can have public comment, and then I can make motion. Oh, Sharon.
Okay. Yeah.
I was going to motion to approve the minutes.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second, and so I will move to public comment. Would any member of the public on the line like to provide comment on an item on the minutes approval? If so, please click the raise hand button in Zoom or press *9 on your phone. The library director will display the timer on the screen. And I see no hands raised. And so is there any discussion on the motion? No? Okay, so then let's go ahead and vote.
Max Beckman-Harned.
Yes.
Phyllis Bismanowski.
Yes.
Paul Donahue.
Yes.
Sharon Sue.
Yes.
Nicole Vogt.
Yes.
All right. We have some minutes. Oral communications. This portion of the meeting is reserved for persons wishing to address the board in any manner not on the agenda. Speakers are allowed to speak on any topic for up to 3 minutes during this section. If there appears to be a large number of speakers, speaking time may be reduced to no less than 1.5 minutes. State law prohibits the board from acting on non-agenda items. Would any member of the public on the line like to provide comment on non-agenda items? If so, please click the raise hand button in Zoom or press *9 on your phone. The library director will display the timer on the screen. I said it kind of fast because I see that there's no member of the public, so but I like to go through the official script. So since there's nobody, no comments, we can move on to item 5.1, library donations from a bunch of anonymous people. Is there any background or any information or anything?
They just thanked the staff and asked us to use these to support library programs and services.
Sounds good. Any questions? Okay, then I'll read my script here. Would any member of the public on the line like to provide comment on this item? If so, please click the raise hand button in Zoom or press *9. Yep, same as the last time. *9 on your phone. The library director will display the timer on the screen. And Max. Well, sorry, I see no public comment. So now I'll call on you, Max.
Thank you. I just want to say that even anonymous people, even though you may not have identified yourself to the world at large, we still appreciate you and thank you for your donation to the library. And I move that we accept these donations.
Great. Is there a second?
I second the move with a lot of gratitude for the anonymous donors.
Great. Any discussion or anything? Okay. Seems pretty good. Yeah. I also think that this is great. Good that people are supporting the library. So let's vote.
Max Beckman Harned,
Yes.
Phyllis Bismanowski,
Phyllis, you're muted.
Accept.
Paul Donahue,
Yes.
Sharon Sue,
Yes.
Nicole Vogt.
Yes, and I add my thanks.
Great. So library has several $100s more. Let's move on to 6.1, presentation of new library discovery layer.
Yes, so there is a memo explaining the background, the summary, some of the benefits and so forth in your packet. And I will introduce Laura Shea Clark, one of our library managers, who's going to give a presentation on the library implementing Aspen Discovery.
Right, I will be sharing my screen. All right. Can everyone see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Okay. So Aspen Discovery Catalog is the product that we chose, and I'm just going to quickly give you some background on it. So currently we have the Encore catalog, which I'm sure you all use, and it works well enough. But unfortunately, it's not going to be developed anymore because our vendor Innovative is working on their next generation catalog called Vega Discovery. So Encore will still be around. We could keep it for a long time, but it doesn't quite do everything that we would like. So we thought we would look to see what our options were. So one of the issues with Encore is it doesn't integrate our events calendar. Modern discovery catalogs, you can do a search and library events will come up, not just the materials. We also have the classic catalog that comes with the Sierra system that we have, but it's text-based. It's integrated with all the behind the scenes system stuff. So we have to keep it. In fact, if you have Overdrive or Hoopla and you weren't able to access today, I apologize, but we're in the process of changing our classic catalog URL from library.mountainview.gov to classiccatalog.mountainview.gov. And we have to, it turns out, have each of those e-resource vendors change their configuration to that. So they're broken today. Hopefully it'll get fixed tomorrow. So anyway, it's not something that that very many people use. It'll stick around, but it's certainly not a discovery catalog. So our choices were our current vendor's product called Vega Discover, BiblioCore, which several area libraries have. I think people call it BiblioCommons. But BiblioCore is specifically just the catalog part. And then Aspen Discovery is supported by a company called Bywater, and it's open source. So it's not really proprietary software completely. So in 2021, we got demos of all three products. There were some things that we liked about BiblioCore, but we definitely preferred Aspen. So we were planning to move in that direction. but I thought, I like to measure twice and cut once. So I thought it'd be a good idea to do one more demo between Aspen and Vega. And because we thought Vega is still fairly new, we thought maybe more development had happened. We really should give our vendor another shot. And I listed the staff involved in the evaluation. So a few comments about the products. BiblioCore is engaging. It's got book carousels, but it's not really all that customizable. It's one layout for all the libraries, which could be an advantage, but then you're kind of stuck. And it also shares, if the customer does a review, it's shared across all the libraries. You opt in, but it's kind of like you become part of this greater information sharing. So we had some concerns about that. And there's no control over relevancy ranking, like when you get your search results, controlling what shows up first. And it's very expensive, it turns out. It's about 4.5 times more than Aspen. So Vega, our current vendor's new product, the first thing you're hit with is there's a lot of white space. It's just not that engaging. But two deal breakers for a lot of us was, one was the call number and the location for each title isn't shown on the same screen. You can see the call number, but then you have to click somewhere else to get the location, or you can get like the material type, but you're not going to get the call number. Anyway, really strange, because Encore, it's like a step back from Encore. And it does not show titles that are on order. We would have to attach dummy items, which is extra work. It doesn't make sense. And I suspect maybe in a few years, these things will be fixed because it's still fairly new. Almost no customization, can't customize relevancy ranking, and it doesn't integrate with LibCal, which is our events system. And again, it's expensive. Then we have Aspen. And right away, we like the look of it. Book carousels and book lists that display the jackets, all of that is built in sort of with a WYSIWYG, easy to code in the background. And you can link to outside sources like book lists of New York Times bestseller lists. On the left, you can limit by categories. They all do that. They're called facets. But built into Aspen, you can limit by genre and reading levels, AR and Lexile facets, which are important for youth. Call number and location are together on the screen in the results, and you can see the titles on order. Good predictive searching. It has good integration with all our various things, and it's relatively inexpensive, believe it or not. We did ask other libraries what was their experience with it and got very positive feedback, and we've been working with them for a few weeks now, getting things set up after we got the contract settled. And very positive experience, very helpful, friendly. Even the system for setting up meetings and entering the data that they need, it's so well thought out and organized. It saves time. So it's just impressive. Their process is impressive. Some additional things to note is, if you're putting a title on hold, there's a while you wait button giving you read-alikes, oh, if you're looking for this, but it's not available right now, why don't you try these other things? It has a built-in suggest a purchase system, so we can move away from Ask Mountain View, which is cumbersome for suggesting a purchase. And it's a little bit of a secret menu because it's not part of the catalog. This is something I want to mention that's going to save staff time, the auto record loading of ebooks. Aspen you can configure it so things like Overdrive or Hoopla, it'll just connect out to those systems and bring in those records, those title records. Right now, we have to physically load them every time. So that's a task for our senior librarian and support services. So that's going to help a lot once it's configured. We are also hoping to put our obituaries, which is in an old innovative system that we can't add to anymore, we can extract those the data and bring it into Aspen, and it can be a separate collection that you can either search with along with everything, or just limit to just the obituaries. So we'll see how that works and decide if that's the direction we want to go, but we're hopeful. And they have a mobile app that's no extra cost. And I've already had a look at it, and it looks really good, including having a scannable barcode within the mobile app to be able to check out from the app. So what does it look like? This is a screenshot of the search part of it. It defaults to keyword, as most discovery catalogs do, but you can also switch that to searching by title or author, things like that. You can search the whole catalog, or you can limit to a particular collection, like if we have obituaries, or even the events calendar. In the search results, you'll see this gray section here. It combines all the formats into one search result, but then you can limit by, oh, I just want books, I just want music, audiobooks. And of course, you have the facets on the left that you can further limit by. And then title by title, you can see that both the location and the call number are visible on the screen. Yay. You can give it a review. You can share it on social media. It will pull in our added content that we get from novelists, like reviews, more information. You can place a hold, all the usual things. Let's see. So Wisconsin is an example, Wisconsin Valley Library System is an example of a Sierra library, because that's always important. Oh, it works great, except you've never done our particular system. Well, they have several libraries that are Sierra, so that we're not concerned. And this particular library has that integrated purchase suggestion system. And I did a screen capture of how it looks. It'll come up and didn't find it, just suggest a purchase. So it's integrated. Darien Library is an example of a stack map integration. So in the search results, we have this little icon that will show you in map form where the item is located in the collection. And Aspen integrates with that. And this library also has suggest a purchase and New York Times bestsellers. And you can get an idea of what the layout of the book lists look like with the jackets. Washoe Library, this is an example of the events calendar being integrated. So if you do a search, say on petroglyph, it'll come up with some materials results, but then after a few results, it'll also show if there are events that have that word or words in it, which is great. It's a way to market your events. So what are the next steps? We had our kickoff meeting already. We had a couple of other configuration meetings. We just set up a data meeting tomorrow. That's when it's really we'll have a lot of homework to make sure things are mapping properly for the facets and other things. And then the catalogers get involved, and then the staff who will do book lists and layouts of the screen will have a training session. And then there's another training session for website layout. And once we have it in pretty good shape, we'll do staff training. We're hoping that's going to be in March. And that'll give us time for testing and reconfiguring, and also putting together some flyers and tutorials, and make some final adjustments and go live approximately in May, because our Encore contract is up at the end of June. So we wanted to leave some flexibility there. Any questions?
Great, yeah. Nicole?
I wondered whether individual users can save their default search parameters?
I assume so, because it's a fully featured discovery system. I know you can save to lists. But I can certainly ask tomorrow when we meet with them. I'm pretty sure. The thing is, what people might lose out on is what they have now. So if you have preferred search, that is probably something we would want to tell people to bring, save that information and redo that in the new system, because I doubt that would carry over.
And likewise, would lists be lost during the turnover time?
I'll have to ask about that.
And if we have a month overlap, is it possible to shoot them over?
Yeah, this company is so great to work with, and it's open source. We should do as much as possible of this kind of thing. Like, think of things, is it possible? Because it might be. Other libraries may have asked for it, or it may be fairly easy for them to do if they can get to the data. So I'll just start making a list.
Great, thank you. This sounds excellent.
Thanks.
Max?
Thank you. I also want to say that this does look excellent. Thank you for the presentation. In fact, it was actually great because I had like several questions, and then like the next slide would keep answering my question, so I kept erasing my questions again. I think my only partial question was around sort of, did you do much analysis on sort of how on the catalog's usability on like mobile and sort of in like tablet devices? Because it seems like most of those screenshots were sort of desktop, and then the next slide you gave an example, so I went on my phone and I'm like, this looks fine. But
Yeah.
Did you do anything around mobile, tablet? Do we have any concerns there? Or?
I don't. I mean, there is a mobile app that you could use on your phone or your iPad or other device, Google Play or iTunes. And I'm pretty sure it's mobile responsive, but again, I can ask that question tomorrow.
Great. Okay. Sharon?
Thank you so much, Laura, for the presentation. I can tell it was really deeply researched and really thoughtful in terms of how users would be able to engage better. I really liked hearing more about aspects that would be less cumbersome, like that, not having to go through Ask Mountain View to suggest a purchase. I think that that's going to be so helpful, because I'm sure the staff has to just field emails because people don't know how to create the account. But
Yeah.
so I wondered, how's the integration with Link Plus, and how might the interface be when it comes to languages other than English?
Oh, thank you for saying. I should have included both of those in the presentation, so I apologize. Unlike other products, it offers multiple languages at no extra cost. So for sure, we will have Spanish and simplified Chinese. Other languages we would have to ask about, but I think those are the two primary ones that would be of concern for us. I think the city also has Russian as one of its primaries. Link Plus will be an integration. I haven't seen it, it's not set up yet, but that is something that we talked to the vendor about. And they think they will be able to do something like we do with Encore right now, where you do a search, can't find it, and there's a link to repeat that search in Link Plus.
Okay, thank you. And may I also ask, can you tell more about the scannable barcode? That was really interesting. I wondered what that might look like, that process.
Yeah, my understanding is that, once everything is set up, the mobile app, you set up your account with your barcode, you type it in, and it'll just create a scannable barcode within the mobile app. And then you can use that, theoretically, depends how good the barcode scanner is, right, at the self-check, for checking out.
What about getting past the security gates, though?
Oh, you'd still be at the self-check. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We haven't explored that, but there are libraries that allow check out just through an app, and it supposedly includes RFID somehow. I don't really understand how that's possible, but somehow it turns off the pitney item. I don't know. Seems like you'd have to have something in your phone to be able to do that.
Thank you. And I guess one more question. I wasn't sure what a book carousel was. I can think of the physical book carousel. I wasn't sure what a digital book carousel might encompass.
We have that on our homepage right now. It goes from one slide to another. So you can have, books that go from one to the other. But what I've seen mostly on Aspen sites are book lists that just have the book jackets pictured. So I'm not sure I would call that a carousel. Carousel means it's going from one to the other.
Okay, thank you.
Max, yeah.
One follow-up question, I think related to Link Plus, and I know Link Plus is a consortium, that's run by III. Do you know if they have any plans around whether, because they have their own Encore catalog, that we would
Yes.
link to. Do you know if they have any plans to move to Vegas or whatever, any changes they're doing on their end, or no idea?
I have not heard that.
Yeah, cool.
I think that'll be well behind other libraries.
Yeah, thank you.
So I had a question. You said something about that you can customize the relevancy ranking. What does that mean? I mean, I know that there's some sort of algorithm to determine what results are more relevant than others, but what can be customized about that?
Well, is it more important that the word that you're searching come up in the title, or also combine that with other title fields, like in contents notes or something like that? And also, do you want to prioritize physical books over ebooks? And we can also integrate things like EBSCO database. So you wouldn't want articles to show up, I don't think, before books.
Right.
That's just a few examples.
Okay. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, this looks way better than when Mrs. Smith taught me how to use a card catalog and that kind of thing. So this is much easier to use. So
yeah,
great.
And I realize, and I said this to my senior librarian, that because it's customizable, we are going to be required to do a lot more configuration, so that but a pain up front for less pain going forward, I'm up for that,
Right. Yeah. Okay, Max.
Sorry, keep coming up with questions. I know one thing about our recent Encore transition was that we had transitioned, I think, to hosted Encore, so that III was updating it for us regularly. Will Aspen also be updated regularly, or will we need to? Okay.
Actually, it'll be upgraded. Well, Encore, there's limited, like I said, we'll be seeing very little in the future in terms of significant changes, upgrades. Aspen is upgraded more often, and it also is hosted.
Okay. Thank you. And the customizations we can do will not make it harder for those upgrades to go in. Those are all just part of the system. Cool. Thank you.
What happens with open source, I don't know if you're familiar, especially in libraries, is a library will say, gee, it would be really great if we could do X. And a bunch of other libraries will say, oh, I love that idea. Let's try it. And depending on the complexity, there may be some cost involved if it's significant. But oftentimes, Bywater will be able to just add that in to the next upgrade. So that's why it's always good to articulate, hey, can it do this? Or can we import this information? Because maybe we can.
Yeah, great. Okay, any other questions? I guess I should do the public comment. Would any member of the public on the line like to provide comment on this item? If so, please click the raise hand button in Zoom or press *9 on your phone. The library director will display the timer on the screen. And I don't see any raised hands. So any other questions or comments? Yeah, this looks great. I think it's good to, from time to time, reevaluate these kinds of things and just, improve and make everybody's experience better. So this is great.
Mhm.
And one final question. I think you had it on a slide already. So when's the public beta? When does the public start trying it out? Is that March or?
No, that would be the staff. We're hoping for early May.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, and then May to June is the transition period. Got it. Thank you.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thanks.
Welcome.
Then I guess we can move on to item 7.1, confidentiality of library records policy.
Yes, and Melvin and Laura are here to answer any questions. This is unfinished business. It was at the board meeting in April, and it has most of the same text as in April, updates to formatting, some wording regarding the account charges. We added the full text of the government code that it refers to. We included that in the policy. And then from the April meeting, there was a suggestion from a board member to add a section addressing the use of names and the availability of aliases for customer holds. So the staff met and put in a section about that. So that was the only addition added from the April meeting.
Okay. Any questions? Nicole?
I wondered whether the account holder would be notified if their account was viewed, say, by a superior court, and in particular, if the account was held by a minor, would there be any notification, and if so, to whom?
Nicole, are you asking that if a subpoena was given in circumstance, if that customer would be notified of such?
Yeah.
That's a good question. I don't know. It would depend on the law. There may be they may not be because of that, but I wouldn't know that. It would be if the law requires
Is this something
that or
just
not.
dictated by state law then?
Yeah, it would be dictated by if somebody had, yeah, whatever the law says of subpoena of records.
Thank you.
If the law requires notification, then obviously the library would do that. If the law prohibits notification, that obviously the library would do that. If the law is silent or allows notification but doesn't require it, then what would happen?
In any circumstance, we would consult with our city attorney's office on what they would recommend we do.
Good. I guess that's probably the right answer. Okay. Any other questions? I had a couple, I think. So one of them is in the new policy in the second paragraph. The last sentence says, but for individuals wishing to pay the amount due associated with another customer's billed items, the payer will only receive the account balance, but not the titles and things. So if it's a minor, would the parent learn what book is missing that they need to be looking under the couch for, or how does that work?
They would not. And Melvin or Laura, correct me if I'm wrong, but the titles are not given.
Right. That's a state law. I mean, that can vary. It's different in other states. And it's hard to explain to parents because it doesn't make sense, you know, because we're asking them to find these missing books, but we're not going to tell them the titles. But California takes privacy very seriously.
Okay, well, we have to comply with the state law, so I'm not going to argue with that. Okay, that's interesting. I mean, the child could come in, and like the parent could bring the kid in, and the kid could ask, and then they could, you know, work it all out. But okay, that makes sense. The other thing is that there was previously item 4 on the old policy kind of said that the library would kind of push back on subpoenas and things like that. And then it says that the costs would be reimbursed to the fullest extent allowed by law. So, and none of that seems to be in the new policy. And I was just wondering if that was, or why that was there previously but not there now.
I don't know why it was there previously, but we have to follow law and subpoenas.
Sure.
And then the costs, your question, I'm reading the old policy incurred by the library.
Because it specifically talks about the law, so I figure that there's no conflict with the law.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure about the cost. I know there's costs for public records requests. I'm not sure, but it didn't seem, I'm not sure.
Okay, Nicole?
I suspect I've asked this before, and apologies, but I can't quite remember. Does this also encompass any analysis or capture of search returns and search algorithms, as well as checked out items?
I'm not sure your question, Nicole. Can you ask that again?
Things that people search for in the interactive system. Is what they're searching for being archived at all, or could it be instantaneously trapped under a court order?
Melvin or Laura, you might be able to answer that. I think Melvin has that answer.
We can't hear Melvin. I think it's just low. It's better. It could be louder.
Yeah, we don't have this problem with in-person meetings, huh?
Wait till I get laryngitis again.
Laura, how about now?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So going back to the question of Nicole, my understanding is you're asking, what about like searches performed by the patron? Is that like trapped in terms of the patron account? The answer is no, because the account or the record that we're talking about here is actually the patron account records. That's only like the list of titles they check out, any fee that they owe to the library. The searches is not saved unless they save it or they opt in and creating list of titles. In essence, that can be subpoenaed if it is available on the account or on the patron's record, but they have to opt in to for us or the library or the software to keep a record of your let's say on your Encore, you create like a list of books that you want to check out or wanting to read later. You have to opt in. In terms of the library, we don't keep that as a general rule, and in a month, all checkout records are extinguished or cleared from your record.
So there's no global logging of search results even to feedback in for refinement on the search process?
No.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, other questions? Okay, let me do the public comment. Would any member of the public on the line like to provide comment on this item? If so, please click the raise hand button in Zoom or press *9 on your phone. The library director will display the timer on the screen, and I see no one. Max.
I just wanted to say, I wanted to thank staff for taking, I think it may have been me that mentioned about the holds, and like, I understand that like the holds are sort of distinct from the library record, but I appreciate y'all sort of taking the feedback that a patron might sort of see them as similar topics and sort of including a section about it here, as well as sort of what they can do, so what they can do and how it would affect like a subpoena. So I like the changes that were made here. So I'll make a motion to approve. Actually, I think before that, it would be, I think based on the comments earlier, in a perfect world, it would be nice to have some comment around like, the Mountain View Library, when possible will inform, like when permitted by law will inform someone if their data has been subpoenaed. Like, I understand that is something that would have to go through through the attorney's office, and they probably they might not want to say something like that. So I'm fine with this as it stands, I guess, as a further suggestion, if the attorney's office would be happy to, would permit something like that. I personally, as a user of the library, would appreciate seeing something like that in the policy. But yes, I move that we approve this policy as it is presented to us.
Okay, I will second that, and I agree with the Max's comments on the holds, and I do appreciate that it also says, you can't use an alias to try to get out of to pretend that you're somebody else, that the subpoena will not apply to you because we don't know who you are. I mean, clearly that would not be legitimate, but it's good to spell that out. So yeah, I will second that. And Nicole?
A quick question. Sorry, I meant to ask this earlier. I assume this applies to all different types of accounts, such as pure electronic accounts, you know, when they're available. And I feel like we have automatic systems for some school children, but I assume every type of account that the library has would fall under this policy.
That's correct.
Thank you.
I can't believe that it was 7 years ago that we last did this. It seems like it was more recent, but hey, I don't know. We've looked at a lot of policies in the last 8 years. Okay, any further comments? There's a motion to approve this and it's been seconded, so let's vote.
Max Beckman Harned,
Yes.
Phyllis Bismanowski,
You're muted.
Yes.
Paul Donahue,
Yes.
Sharon Sue,
Yes.
Nicole Vogt.
Yes.
All right. We've got a new policy. And let's move on to 8.1, Board of Library Trustees meeting dates for next year, 2023. So
Okay.
I guess, yep, go ahead.
The memo in here is the recommendation to approve the 2023 calendar year Board of Library Trustee meeting dates. And we adjusted per the city closures based on holidays, which are listed, and then proposed meeting time to stay 7 p.m. And then the last meeting in December is to combine the November and December meetings, which have been happening that way in the last few years.
Max.
It seems related, so I'll just ask it now. Do we have any idea as to whether these would be in-person meetings or virtual meetings, or is it still sort of up to city council, you know, several days beforehand to let you know?
The current proposal is to go back to in-person beginning in February. So at tomorrow night's city council meeting, there is an agenda item to have virtual meetings for the next 30 days, which does not cover the January Board of Library Trustees meeting. However, at their first or second week of January meeting, we anticipate a 30-day to have the January, all the boards and commissions that are meeting in January to meet virtual in January, but then go back to in-person beginning in February. If anything does change, we will let you all know as soon as we know, but that is the current proposed plan per the city clerk's office.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, I guess I will go with this public comment. Would any member of the public on the line like to provide comment on this item? If so, please click the raise hand button in Zoom or press *9 on your phone. The library director will display the timer on the screen. I see none, and I saw Nicole look like you wanted to say something.
I'm more curious, is it a technical limitation that limits hybrid meetings to the planning board and the rental commission? Is it limited availability of resources?
I think that I know the answer to that. I think that it's only things that meet in the city council chambers, because only that room has the necessary audiovisual equipment or something to be able to do that. Like the room in the library where we have in the past met doesn't have microphones that are connected to some sort of streaming system or whatever.
In addition to that, I believe that because the state of emergency is planning to, the governor is planning to end the state of emergency in February. So all the boards and commissions will go back to regular Brown Act. So members of those two boards will need to meet in person. It's allowing the public only to be virtual.
Unless they do, there's some rules about you can actually teleconference in, but you have to like post the agenda on the front door of your house or something like that, or wherever you happen to be, or the hotel room in Las Vegas where you are, or something weird like that. Okay, Max.
And then the public has to be able to, able to enter and comment from any location.
Yeah.
But I think my only comment was just I think as the reminder, I'm sure as everyone knows, that I think when y'all go back to in person, I think then we always have to also then start taking into consideration the library opening hours and make sure that the meetings don't extend beyond the time the library closes for Brown Act purposes. So it'll be fun.
Yeah. Okay. So I think a motion is in order to approve this calendar of meetings.
Yeah, I feel weird. I feel weird motioning it since I'm not actually going to be at any of the meetings. So someone who is still on the board next year.
I motioned to approve the meetings for 2023.
All right. Is there a second? Maybe somebody who will be here.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, I heard Nicole. Any further discussion? Okay, then let's vote.
Matt Speckman Harned,
Aye.
Phyllis Bismanowski,
Yes.
Paul Donahue,
Yes.
Sharon Sue,
Yes.
Nicole Vogt.
I'm in.
Okay, great. Now we'll go on to board staff announcements, updates, requests, and committee reports. The library director's report.
So you all know Melvin, he's been here before, but he came today in his new role as assistant library director. So I just wanted to introduce him to you all in his new role that he started last month. So excited about that. And we're in the process of filling his old position, the library manager. So we're hoping to get that going soon. So that's exciting. He's still leading the identity project and the website. He's representing our department, as you see in my background, the new logo and so forth. And there's a lot of work still to be done with that. Ordering new library cards with the logo and so forth. A big, huge project that he's continuing to lead with that. We are in the process and we'll have more information. We hope to have a presentation sometime next year. We are working on a new learners program. So adult literacy, we had a contract with Santa Clara County Library District for many years, which ended it right the year before the pandemic. So we've hired a librarian that is spearheading that. He's in Melvin's old division. And then one of the things we've implemented in the last few weeks is issuing library cards on the second floor if needed, so that it's just to improve customer service so that we don't have to send somebody downstairs. Laura's group and Melvin's group met and staff had training on how to issue a card and so forth, just to not have to bounce people around if we don't have to. And then the other staffing updates, we are currently recruiting for 2 senior librarians. And then we also have 2 librarian openings. So we have about 5 vacancies still. So we're doing a lot, as you see from the memo, with 5 regular positions vacant. So we hope to get those going. The senior librarians are currently recruiting, and then the other positions we hope to start in the new year. There will be 2 new board members if it's on the city council meeting tomorrow night to approve the addition of 2 new board members that you will see in January. And then I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank Max and Paul. It's been a fun ride working with you all, getting your input over the last several years, and I appreciate your service to the library, so thank you.
Thanks. Any questions? Max?
I know it sort of in the early like pandemic lockdown period, wasn't there were sort of like staffing freezes and things, right? Are those now, like, are we now sort of, I guess, back to pre-pandemic levels of like funding, or like have freezes been lifted, or are we still sort of slowly, down and sort of slowly trying to increase?
So the city never froze positions. We didn't have layoffs or freezes or anything, but we did lose staff through it. And then a lot of the HR staff had to do pandemic related. So getting recruitments citywide has just been, a challenge for that department. So I believe they are fully staffed, and as we try to finish up or not have as many COVID related items in HR, they're able to help with recruitments more. So we hope that will increase beginning in January.
Thank you.
Great. Other Nicole?
I noticed under potential items for fiscal year 2023 to 24, there was some discussion of a DEI assessment of the print collection. And I wondered if that might be something we could get an overview of when it happens, just to learn about it.
Yes, if that gets approved in the budget, we can definitely give you more details on how that takes place.
Thanks. Oh, and since I've got my hand up, I'll just take a moment to say I really appreciate Max and Paul, how much you've done on the board. I've learned a great deal from both of you, and it's been wonderful to have you here.
Thanks. Sharon?
I wanted to pick up on that as well. I know it's only been a year that I've been on the board and a year of listening in as a member of the public, but it's been so enjoyable to hear or to witness your service and also benefit from all of your expertise in the rules and bylaws. It just makes serving the city and the community a lot of fun. Regarding the library director report, I wanted to add in, I attended an event that was kind of in between where the report kind of had to pause, and then before the upcoming programs, which was the tree lighting or the story time at the tree lighting. And Miss Renee and Miss Alex did an amazing job as always. Lots of children, a lot of caretakers and adults, and plenty of jingle bells and music. So I wanted to thank them for their great efforts as always.
Thank you. We'll be sure to let them know. And the photos will be in January.
All right. Max, I see you next.
I just wanted to ask, sort of in the CCTV project section, it mentioned how no cameras in public areas will be facing or have coverage of service desks. And I just wanted to understand, was that sort of an employee privacy matter? Just like, because I could assume that service desks could be places where there are interactions with the public that might cause problems. So I just wanted to sort of understand that. Also, I'm surprised no one has talked about commas in reference to Paul and I yet, but I'm glad that's not our legacy.
Oh, it is.
It goes without saying.
And to answer your question about the staff, yeah, we felt the need, we didn't want to have cameras on staff service desks for staff privacy. The exit doors, I think there's one that will be in the second floor computer area, but not reaching the service desk, and obviously not reaching monitors or anything in case. But the cameras on most of the emergency exits, the doors, parking garage, and so forth, where we thought they may be needed.
Okay, Phyllis.
Nicole beat me to the presentation, but I do want to thank Paul, excuse me, and Max for their dedication to the library service, and their contributions are well received, and thank you very much for your service, and I'm sure we'll see you again.
Great, thanks. I had a question about the cameras. It just occurred to me. They're video only, no audio. Or do they record audio as well?
Only video.
Okay. Because I could see some, privacy concerns, because, we just reviewed a policy. This is something about not, disclosing questions that people ask or something like that. And, if you were recording what people are physically or, audibly saying, that could be potentially a problem, I guess. But yeah, video only sounds fine.
And just to note, there will be a citywide policy related to cameras, because we aren't the only facility that has cameras. PD is part of this project, and possibly future other buildings. So it will be part of the city's administrative instruction.
Okay. Great. Well, just like we have that privacy policy we just talked about, it's good to publicize, all the privacy aspects of various things, so that at least everybody knows what's going on. Okay, would any member of the public on the line like to provide comment on this item? If so, please click the raise hand button in Zoom or press *9 on your phone. The library director will display the timer on the screen. And I see no hands raised. And Sharon, your comment about how knowledge of processes and procedures or something like that made these meetings fun. I've never I don't know about that. Nobody ever thought my nerdiness about processes and rules and stuff was fun. But thank you for your charitable thoughts there. Okay, any last comments on the library director's report? Okay, then we'll move on to agenda setting. What's coming up?
For the very last time, I will look at the planning calendar and say that January 2023 says elect chair and vice chair. Those are the only items. So I assume that the vice chair will run the meeting and then you'll elect the new chair and then the vice chair. But yeah.
I believe that would be correct. So is there any other plan for upcoming things, or we'll just find out when the agenda is released?
Yeah, we plan to do more presentations, staff presentations. So I meet with Melvin and the managers this week. And so we're going to try to put together some things that we can have staff come to present.
Great. Would any member of the public on the line like to provide comment on this item? If so, please click the raise hand button in Zoom or press *9 on your phone. The library director will display the timer on the screen. I see nobody. So yeah, I'll just say that it's been a fun 8 years. I've enjoyed the I mean, everyone here and the people who were previously, your predecessors that I worked with at the beginning. The predecessors, either staff and people on the board as well. There's it's really interesting to at the beginning. Sure, I know about the library. I've been there, checked out books and these kinds of things. But it's really interesting to get in and really see things at this level, and to learn about these things, and to try to, as we've done, I think, to try to understand the different perspectives that that we're, I think, supposed to represent, and we had some of the when reviewing these policies to try to figure out not how the policy affects me, but how the policy affects everyone, and how we can really make the policy best for all of the patrons, for the staff, for the the city as a as an entity or whatever, and to try to do some of the balancing and things like that, and to try to provide feedback and just make things better, as I think that we did tonight with this policy that we just talked about. Now there's this thing about the aliases on holds, and I think that's there's always room for improvement, and I think that that we've definitely, we're in a better place now. I hope that that people will agree we're in a better place now than 8 years ago when I started, and maybe I had a little tiny bit to do with that, but I think that it really, I have to say that the staff has been wonderful, and the other board members have also been great, and I will miss being in this role, but it's time for some fresh blood and different ideas, and I think that's that will just make things even continue to improve even more in the future. So thanks for 8 great years. Max?
I actually was just going to comment on the agenda that I think, looking at the list, one thing that I think might be useful for the future, particularly when we sort of revert back to the sort of more traditional Brown Act, is that occasionally we would have, every several years, we would have someone, I think, from the attorney's office come and sort of give a Brown Act refresher to committee members. And I think particularly after return to in person, that might be a good thing to do again, because it looks like we last did it in 2017 or something, so it's been a little while. But that was my only comment. And yeah, thank you.
I believe the city clerk is scheduling that either this month or next month for a refresher.
Wow, they read your mind. Any other thoughts or Closing comments? Yeah. Okay. Well, then I will adjourn my final meeting here, and it is 8:13. The next library board meeting will be Monday, January 23rd at 7 p.m. And maybe I'll be a member of the public. I don't know. We'll see what my schedule looks like. I get some of my Monday nights back now. So see you later. Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.